and I wanted to send them a text while I was on the bus going to one of my swim meets and just shut off my phone and then just like deal with the consequences later on in the day. But sadly, bitch, it didn't go like that. Hi, I'm Elii Ormond, and happy National Coming Out Day if you're watching this video on Friday. This video is my personal coming out story. I thought this video would be entertaining to watch and too informative to watch. The reason why I'm making a coming out story in the first place is because I remember when I was in the closet and I was younger, I used to love watching coming out stories. They were very inspiring to me and they were in a way like therapeutic and made me feel less alone. One thing is though, I remember I never really found a lot of bisexuals who came out on YouTube. At least in my personal opinion, I never found them. Not saying they're not out there, I'm just saying I never really seen that many coming out stories for like bisexual men, and so that was another reason why I felt like I wanted to make this video. I did make my coming out story in the past, like a year ago, but I thought the quality of the video wasn't what it should have been, so I decided to make this video again. So this video is for anybody who's in the closet or just anybody who wants to know my story in general. So basically just anybody who finds this video entertaining or informative, whichever one. But before the video starts, don't forget to follow me on my Instagram and my Twitter, and they're always linked in my description box below, and I post every single Monday and Thursday. So subscribe if you want to join the Elii Army, which is what I call all of my subscribers. But that's it for me, so let's just get on to this coming out story. Okay, so let me give you a little background. So both my parents are pastors, and ever since I've grown up, I've been taught from what I can recall that being anything that wasn't straight was not right, not the right way to live, I guess. I'm not sure if I would really technically say that they ever told me that it was like a sin, but I do know that I was raised that like anything that wasn't straight wasn't the right way to live. It's basically the only correct way that I can say about how my parents felt about the LGBTQ plus community. But all my life, since I can recall from a very young age, I've always been attracted to both men and women. But because I know that I like guys and that wasn't like the right way from like how my parents always told me, and because of like society and the people I was around, for the longest time I kind of suppressed my feelings for men and just like never really tried to explore that or like accept the fact that I was attracted to men. So I would deny it to myself internally and to everybody else around me. So by the end of my freshman year is when I finally became content with the fact that I am bisexual, and I don't feel like I'm going to hell because of it or like it's a sin or anything like that. But at that time, if anybody still asked me like, are you bi or are you anything, I will always just deny it and just say no, I'm straight. Okay, so fast forward to my sophomore year of high school. In the beginning of my sophomore year, actually, I started to get really close with one of my best friends to this day. Her name's Journey. I'll put pictures here just because we're cute. But I started to become best friends with her, and that's where like my story really picks up. And at this time, I was like watching like a lot of gay movies like Brokeback Mountain, Blackbird, Moonlight, stuff like that. And at the time, I wanted somebody to really like talk to the movies about because I thought they were actually like really good movies. But I didn't have anybody at the time that I was like comfortable enough to even talk about anything that had to do with the LGBTQ plus community. So like I said, so me and my best friend at the time were becoming closer, and as the months went by, I kind of just decided that I was going to tell her that I was bisexual. So how it went was basically I was on the phone with her, and I think it was like right after I finished watching Blackbird or something like that. If you don't know what that movie is, you should definitely go watch it because I think it's like a cute movie. But anyway, I was on the phone with her and I basically told her like, hey, like I have something to tell you, but like can you tell me like something that nobody else knows first, and then I'll tell you something that nobody else knows. And so she told me something, and I was just like, oh my god, like really? It just made me so happy because like I knew she didn't tell anybody else at the moment, and after I told her I was bisexual, it was kind of just like silent for a moment, and then she just was like, that's it? And I was just like, yeah. And she was like, okay. So yeah, that was that. She didn't care. She was telling me about how like I'm normal and you know like there's nothing to be like ashamed of and all that other shit like that basically people say when you come out to people. That was that. So that was like the biggest deal to me because now like somebody knew, but not just somebody knew, but somebody I was close to and somebody that was accepting that I could talk to about my sexuality and just like anything I wanted to like talk about, because I've never ever before Journey had somebody that I felt like I was that close to where I could talk to somebody about that and feel as comfortable with. So I came up to my best friend Journey around, I want to say like October-ish, and so fast forward to like December is when I came out to two of my sisters. So my birthday is December 12th, and at the time the reason why I wanted to come out to my sisters anyway is because I was getting really sad because I felt like my family wouldn't accept me, and like I always wanted to have a close family, and I knew I never wanted to keep my sexuality a secret from my family anyway. So I would always get sad when I thought about the future because I always felt like my family wouldn't be in my life, and that was something I hated. Like that feeling, I never wanted to ever feel like that, and I never want anybody to feel like that. So around my birthday is when I got really sad. So that's what made me plan to come out to my sisters. So my birthday's on December 12th, and I planned on coming out to them on December 14th because at the time I was on the swim team at my school and I had a swim meet on the 14th, and I wanted to send them a text while I was on the bus going to one of my swim meets and just shut off my phone and then just like deal with the consequences later on in the day. But sadly, bitch, it didn't go like that. So basically, like I said, my plan was to come out to them on the 14th. So December 12th has passed my birthday, and December 13th, late at night, I was on the phone with my best friend Journey, and I was telling her about how like I was about to come out to them tomorrow, and like, oh my god, this and that. And also on my notes on my phone, I had typed up 2 individual messages to both my sisters, basically coming out to them and telling them how I felt and everything like that. And so while I was on the phone with my best friend, I had sent her the messages, and so basically so she could see like what I was gonna say, like if she thought like it was like a good thing to say to them. So all of that happened in my room. So I walked outside my room because I don't remember what I needed to get or whatever, but I was still on the phone with my best friend, and I walked outside my room, and one of my sisters, Brio, was sitting at the table, and she was like, hey, and I was like, hey, and she was like, I didn't get to read one of your messages yet. And I was like, what message? And she was like, the message you just sent me. And she was like, I just didn't get a chance to read it yet. And so I'm freaking out because I realized I never ever sent the messages to my best friend. I sent the messages to my sister. And so I like snatched the phone from her, and like I literally delete the message, and so now she's freaking out because she saw like it was some sad emojis and like the long ass paragraph, because bitch, it was a lengthy ass paragraph, and she was like freaking out like, oh my god, like are you about to run away, are you about to kill yourself, like what's going on? All I just kept saying was like, you just weren't supposed to see this yet, you weren't supposed to see this yet, you weren't supposed to see this yet, because I was all thinking of like the perfect timing, because I wanted to make sure I sent them the messages the next day when I was on the bus so that I wouldn't have to deal with like the confrontation right away. So I was like super stressed, and so I went in my room, and she had like came in there and she just kept asking me like what's going on, and I just wouldn't tell her. So she like took all her stuff, because she had like a whole bunch of stuff in my room at the time. So she took all her stuff out of my room and just like stormed out, and she was like really upset. And then I just sat on my bed, and I'm like super emotional at this time, like super scared, because like bitch, that was a close call. My best friend is still on the phone at this time, and she's just like, you should just like tell her. And I'm just sitting there, and at this point I'm literally about to cry, like just sitting on my bed, just like so silent. She's just in my ear like, you should just basically like just tell her. And I'm just like, no, like it wasn't the right time. And then I just sat there in silence and just thought, and then I closed my eyes and I made up my mind that I was just gonna tell her. So I just told my best friend, I was like, okay, I'm gonna tell her. And she's like, okay, like do you want me to stay on the phone with you or whatever? And I was just like, no, I'm gonna just talk to you later on, or like tomorrow or something like that. And so she's like, okay, like I love you, like if you need anything, like let me know, and blah blah blah. So I was like, okay, like I will. So I hung up on her, oh bitch, and I went in my notes to my phone. I sent both the messages to my sister Jasmine and my sister Brio. I turned up all the lights in my room, and I just literally started bawling, crying, like, and just went in the corner of my room. And then my sister Brio came in my room and then turned on both the lights and then saw me crying. So basically she just hugs me and she just tells me how everything's gonna be okay, and basically just like how it's not a big deal, and just like the perfect things to say to somebody when they come out to you, honestly. So we're just hugging each other and we're just crying, and she's just making me feel good. She's asking me a whole bunch of questions like, how long have I known that I was bisexual, and like, you know, just like random questions that she was curious about. And we were just talking, and then she was like, okay, do you want me to go in the other room so I can like get my other sister? So basically I wouldn't have to have like the same conversation twice. And so I was just like, okay. And so then she left my room, she went to try and get my sister, and then she came back in there without my sister. And so she was basically like, my other sister just didn't want to come in here at the time, and my other sister was like really sad and like I guess just didn't want to talk to me and was like really emotional about it, which I kind of figured she would be. So to clarify, basically my sister Brio, I already basically knew she wouldn't care because she was always vocal on her support on the LGBTQ plus community from my knowledge, but I never wanted her specifically to look at me differently, because I think I still had like some internalized homophobia in myself, and I just didn't want her to see me as different than just like her brother. But my other sister, I already knew how she felt, and so I wasn't really that hurt or surprised that she didn't want to come in the room with me. That was fine. Okay, so fast forward to like January now is when I came out to my mother. So how the story went was me and my mom were both in my room, and at the time I had braids in my hair. So I had on one of my sister's scarves, which I think had flowers on it or whatever, because I didn't have a scarf because I don't usually wear braids, but I just was starting to like experiment more with my hair. And I guess because the scarf had flowers on it, my mom felt some type of way about it. Plus this is when I originally started modeling, and I was wearing a lot more of my sister's clothing, but I wasn't wearing like dresses or like skirts or anything like that in my opinion was like super feminine. I was just wearing like their jackets or their button-ups or like their sweaters. Like literally I'll show you pictures of items that were my sister's, and my mom liked what I was wearing. She just didn't like the fact that it was from the women's section, or just in the case that it was just my sister's at all, because some of these items of clothing that I was wearing were from the men's section. They were just my sister's, and she just didn't like the fact that it was my sister's because my sisters are women. And yeah, and so I think she randomly, while we were just hanging out in my room, had just asked me like, I think she said something like, so I don't want to like upset you or anything, but I was just curious because you were like wearing like this scarf, and like you've been wearing like your sister's clothing, so like are you like gay or are you like straight, or like, what's up? I think if I can remember correctly, she said it exactly like that. And I was just like, I'm not neither. Like, I'm not gay and I'm not straight. Like, I like both. And I'm pretty sure at that time I didn't say to her specifically that I'm bisexual, because I think the actual label of identifying myself as bisexual to my mom was like still kind of like a thing I was nervous about. Now, my mom I was less nervous about than everybody. Like, at first when she was talking to me, she was asking me about like, okay, like, what are you, and like all of this stuff like that. I was just sitting in my mind and I literally was thinking like, okay, like, am I really gonna lie to her right now, or like, am I just gonna tell her? Because I know how my mom feels. My mom basically told me before in the past that like, if one of her kids were in the LGBTQ plus community, she wouldn't like shun them or like banish them or like, you know, kick them out her house or anything like certain other people's parents do. But at the same time, she doesn't support that part of them. And so that's the reason why I never told her, because I felt like, why would I tell you who I am if you don't support who I am? So that's why I never told her. So yeah, basically she just said what I already knew. You know, she loved me and everything. She just don't support my lifestyle, as she calls it. And yeah, that was that. I didn't really care. And that, you know, I'm always her son, everything like that, blah blah blah. But she just doesn't support my life decisions or whatever. Like, it's a choice, but that's tea for another day. And that's how I came out to my mom. Okay, so fast forward to March 23rd of my sophomore year, which is the day that I came out to my dad. And basically both of my parents asked me, was I straight or not? I never was able to just randomly bring it up and just be like, I'm bisexual. It was just, they both was like, are you gay or not? And yeah. And so to give you a little background on how it went, because my parents divorced when I was in like 4th grade, so like they didn't live together, but I went over my dad's house every other weekend. So like I always do, I went to my dad's house on Friday and I left on Sunday. And on Monday he basically texted me saying that he had something that he wanted to talk to me about. And so I had asked him like, is this something serious or like what's going on? And he basically just said nothing but how he wanted to just talk to me in person. And that's when I knew. And that's when I fucking knew. And so from Monday to Friday, I literally did not know what this man wanted to talk to me about, because he would not tell me. Now, let me tell you something. I had some suspicions on what my dad could possibly want to talk to me about. But one of the reasons was I thought he may have asked me, was I gay or was I straight or what was I? Because, you know, I just feel like you just know. Like, you just usually, in my opinion, not speaking for everybody, but just in my personal life, my personal perspective, I usually feel like, especially when I was little, can tell when somebody's about to ask me, are you this, are you that? I don't know, I just feel like it's just something you get accustomed to. Like, it's a feeling you get. Like, your spidey senses, they just, you know, they just tingle when somebody about to ask you, are you gay? At least mine do, bitch. And I didn't know how he knew or how he would have found out, but I just knew he knew already. I just knew that he had an assumption and he needed it to be confirmed. And at this time, everybody really knew that I was bisexual besides him. So basically all my close friends and everything like that, and my mom and my sisters knew. Just not my dad's side of the family and my mom's side of the family. So like my cousins and aunts and stuff like that didn't know, but yeah. Which I will get to in a minute. My dad was the only person I did not know how he was gonna feel. My mom vocally has said in the past about how she feels about the LGBTQ plus community, but my dad, I really didn't know. I just knew his religious stance and what he believes in, but I never really can recall like him specifically telling me like, if you were to tell me this, like I just didn't know his reaction basically, or what he was gonna do with this information, anything like that. And so I was very, very, very nervous to tell my dad. My dad was the person I was scared to tell the most. Like anybody else was hard, but it wasn't like my dad. Like my dad is my dad. Like I don't know, like I just it was so hard to tell him. But within the Monday to Friday span of me stressing over what he could possibly want to ask me or tell me, I came to the realization that if this is what he wants to ask me, I'm just gonna tell him, because I can't imagine lying, because at this point basically everybody else knew but him anyway. So like it just had to be done, and that's what was done. Alright, so Friday hit, right? So he picked me up in his car and I get in the car and we talking, but we making small talk, which I personally hate small talk, but that's not the point. So basically we have a small talk. He drives me to this park, and so we get out the car. I'm still stressing, because he make it, in my opinion, he made it such a big deal, but like so secret, like I just got something to tell you, like girl, you should just said it. But anyway, so we get to the park, we sit down on the bench, and that's when he basically just asked me, okay, well, have something to, you know, ask you, blah, blah, like, basically, nigga, are you gay? And I was just like, no, like, again, like, I just was like, I'm not gay and I'm not straight. I like men and I like women. So, the reason why my dad even randomly asked me was because my stepbrother follows me on Instagram, and at this time, like I said, I just started modeling, and I was trying to use my Instagram as a platform where I can feel liberated enough to feel confident in myself. And so I was posting stuff like LGBTQ plus quotes on my Instagram to show my support for the community, but never really necessarily saying this is who I am, just showing my support for my trans girls out there and like my gay boys out there and like basically everybody. But I was like throwing quotes to everybody because like, you know, I support everybody. But anyways, so my stepbrother was wondering like what's going on, and so he had asked my aunt, was I gay? And my aunt didn't know, but she thought my dad knew. He was just keeping it from her, which is a reason why she thought that, which is a whole nother story time that I've never told anybody before. So I definitely will make that story time too, because that's a whole nother story. But basically my aunt thought my dad may know, but he just was keeping it from her. So she asked him again like, is he gay or not? I mean, I don't know if she really asked it like that because this is just what my dad told me, but that's just how I like see it. But she asked him, was I gay? And he didn't know. And he don't follow me on Instagram because I blocked both my parents at that time because I didn't want them getting suspicious. And so that's when he like felt like he needed to ask me because he needed some clarification, because this is not the first time my dad has asked me. This is just the first time I told my dad the truth. But that's why I said that that's a whole other story time that I never told anybody else, that my dad asked me before in the past, was I gay? So I think I will tell that story too. Not in this video though, but I'm gonna make a whole other story time about how that situation had happened when my dad asked me originally was I gay. But yeah, anyway, back to the story. So I basically told him, and I wrote my dad, just like I wrote my sisters a note in my notes one time, I wrote my dad a note, I just never sent it to him. So I told my dad like, do you want to see the messages that I was going to send you? Because I was going to send my dad a text like, I'm bisexual and blah blah blah. He was like, yeah. So I literally just showed him the messages in my notes of what I was going to say to him, and at that time he started breaking down crying. But he said he was crying because his dad was never in his life, and he always felt like he wanted to be in his son's life, and he never wanted his son to feel like he couldn't open up to him about anything, and especially because of his religious stance. Like he never wanted, just because he was a pastor or just because he was this or that I wasn't able to talk to him about anything. So basically, just like my mom, my dad doesn't support the fact that I am bisexual, but my dad still loves me. Me and my dad have an amazing relationship. We just never talk about my sexuality. But the thing is, I wanted to make sure that my dad knew how I felt, because I feel like if people think that you don't know or have your own opinion on a certain subject, they'll give you an opinion on how you should think or how you should act or how you should do this or that. So I basically just told my dad like, no, like that's fine that you don't support me and you still love me, like there's nothing I can do about that, but I don't feel like there's nothing wrong with myself. I don't feel like there's anything wrong with anybody who's trans, pansexual, asexual, bisexual, gay, lesbian, queer. I don't feel like there's anything wrong with that, and I basically made my point known that I am who I am, and that's just on period. And the thing is, being a black male, being a bisexual, I feel like people will really try and tell you who you are. Like, no, you're not bi, like you're gay or you're this or that. Especially like if you're like feminine or like you're just not who they want you to be, I guess. And to me, like, I just don't got time for that. Like, basically, if I say I'm bi, believe I'm bi. If you don't believe I'm bi, I mean, shit. If you ain't gonna date me, it don't matter anyway. So that's that. But that's a whole nother rant that I've already made before in the past plenty of times at this point. So yeah. Next case. So on to how I came out to my cousins, because they were technically the final step of me coming out. So after I came out to my dad, I came out to Instagram, I guess. So I had made a post. I'll put the post right here of what I used. It was a J Versace post, but I basically posted that on Instagram and basically talked about how I didn't care about how people felt about me anymore. I'm not sure if J Versace specifically is bisexual. I don't really know how he identifies, but I do know that this exact caption was exactly how I felt being a bisexual male, and so that's why I used it. Okay, so fast forward to the next day, I woke up to my cousin Tamaya literally talking about how she supports me and she loves me in the comments of that post I made, and that was so shocking to me, because I always grew up with, in my opinion, my cousins being very homophobic. Like, I grew up with internalized homophobia, and so we all kind of were just said very problematic and homophobic things to the LGBTQ plus community. So when I found out that I had her full support, it was very shocking to me, and I was like, wow. And I had texted her and I literally said something like, well, it's like great that like you support me, but I know like your brother won't, because her brother is like a brother to me. We've always been super close since we were little. It was kind of like a bittersweet moment. And so after I told her that, she was just like, no, he he not really gonna care, like, cause he think you gay anyway. And I was just like, oh, alright. And so basically I had sent him a text telling him how I was bi and everything like that. And he basically had sent me back a text talking about how, like, that's fine and our relationship is still the same and he's still, you know, my cousin and it didn't really matter. And that had me so shook. Like, I was literally in the car with my sister when I read this message and I was just breaking down crying for the whole car ride because I never ever expected to get that response from my cousin. Like, ever. Like, I don't know if you can relate to this or not, but like, especially coming from like a black family and being a male, like, when I got that text from my cousin, that just hit different. Like, it really hit different. And I was just so happy that, like, he even said that to me. And in the message, he was just naming all the stuff we do together and talking about how, like, all of this is still gonna be the same. And basically talking about how, like, it's not a big deal. That just blew me away and made me so happy. And I don't think I cried that much since I came out to my sisters. Like, my dad was the scariest person to come out to, but my cousin's response, like, broke me, like, in the best way possible. But yeah, I think that was basically the end. After that, everybody in school knew. I had a boyfriend for 2 years, so from May 2nd, 2017 to June 1st, 2019, I had a boyfriend. So from like social media and like me being more vocal on like my sexuality, everybody just basically kind of started to find out. But I wanted to make this coming out story for one, to say that I know everybody's story is completely different, but you literally never know how somebody's gonna react. You can literally think somebody's gonna react in the most negative way and they could be the most supportive person in a year from now. Even if they're not supportive at that exact moment, they could be in a year or two or a month or a week. Like, everybody's story is different, but I'm glad that at this point I'm unapologetically myself, no matter what anybody has said to me, no matter anybody's opinion on my life. I had to live for myself, and that's what I do every single day. And I can't imagine being in the closet right now because my life ever since I came out has been so freeing. And even though after I came out I've gone through some stuff with my family, it still was worth it. Like, my happiness was worth anything I've ever been through. And yeah, that's all I want to say today. If you guys are in the closet or have any questions about coming out or anything like that, my Instagram DMs are open. My Instagram is Elii Ormond. Anything any of you guys say to me will be completely confidential. If you just need somebody to talk to, if you guys just want to tell your story, anything like that, you can comment it down below. You can, like I said, contact me on Instagram. I'm here for anybody in the community. But yeah, that's it. So if you like the video, don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to comment down below any other video suggestions you may have for me. Don't forget to hit the post notification bell if you want to be notified of when I post, and don't forget to subscribe if you want to join the Elii Army, which is what I call all of my subscribers. But that's it for me, so bye guys.